Welcome to Create Before Consume. Now, here's your host, Fitz.
Yeah, so today we got a guest. What is your name?
My name is Steven.
Okay, can you kind of explain what you do on YouTube and what is your story in general?
My story. Do you want my birth story or just from...
If it's interesting, we take it.
I don't know if it's going to be interesting, but I will say that my story on YouTube is a little bit weird. First of all, I'm not really young. So
what does that mean? I'm not really young.
It means I'm older.
I'm older.
I'm not like, I wouldn't consider myself an old guy.
Yeah.
But in regards to YouTube, most of the people that are on YouTube that are thriving, I guess you could say, are the younger generation. Like, you know, you're 18 to 25 maybe.
Yeah.
Things like that. I would consider that younger. So I'm a little bit over that.
We actually talked about that. We
Did you?
The OG, what was his name again? Where we're like, oh yeah, he goes through the news. Who does the YouTube news? And we texted about it.
Oh yeah.
What is his name? Brain freeze.
I know what you're talking about. That,
This struggle is real.
Yeah. That's part of getting old.
Something with Marquez? No, I don't know. Anyhow,
I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my story is I started videography business. This is about maybe 6-7 years ago.
Okay.
And the way that started was actually really weird because my dad growing up, he used to have a camcorder and he would videotape us and stuff like that. So I don't know if I got that from him because, you know, you see certain things when you're young and then
you pick it up.
Exactly. So that's where I think it came from, just like in the inside of me. So as time went on, I would always be recording stuff. And even before I got married, my girlfriend at the time, who was now my wife, I used to have the camera in her face all the time. And she's like, will you get that camera out of my face? But it was just something that I loved to do. So as time went on, you know, I kept on, you know, using cameras and just, you know, doing my own thing, nothing professional, just for my own use. So my wife at the time was working for a company. Yeah. And they had an event that was going on. It was called a plane pull. So a bunch of people get together and they pull a plane, and it was for charity.
Like a real plane?
An actual plane. I can't remember what size it was. Maybe like a Boeing. It wasn't like one of the huge ones, but it was a pretty big plane.
That's kind of like, you don't see that often.
You don't. I have pictures of it on Instagram. It's a while back. I posted them later after that. But anyway, so they had a photographer that was going to do that program for them. But for some reason, he didn't show up or something happened. I can't remember. So they asked around the office. They said, do you know of anybody who can shoot? Yeah. And my wife was like, well, my husband has a camera.
So you can do it.
Yeah. And so she asked me, I'm like, I guess. Okay. So the day came, you know, I did a bunch of research online and I got my ND filters and things like that. And I shot it. And then I delivered the pictures and they loved it. So, yeah. So maybe I want to say another month went by. Yeah. They called me back. Hey, we have this event. We have a gala. We have this going on. And before you know it, they started, you know, they were paying me. Yeah. And then they said, well, we have like a mini documentary we want to do of these people with special needs.
That is like a good start.
It was a good start. I mean, this is not to say I knew what I was doing.
It's like, oh yeah, we're already on Netflix and everything.
Yeah, no. This is amateur. I'm just getting started. Yeah. I'm learning my way as I go through it. So it wasn't like I came in there with this Steven Spielberg plan. No. Yeah. I was learning as I was going. So I was terrified a lot of the time, you know, because I didn't know what I was doing. Honestly, I just didn't. But as I kept doing it, I got to learn, you know, what it took to make a good picture and a good story. Yeah. And thankfully, I had people working with me at the place she was working at that was patient with me. Yeah. So they kind of like let me learn and things like that. And that was just the start of my journey, introduction, into videography. Now, as far as YouTube goes, so the pandemic happened.
Ooh, okay.
So this is fast forward past a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
This is like, I started my business, did weddings, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And the pandemic comes. The pandemic comes and everything stops. Like nothing. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'm not working at all. I'm not doing anything. Let me just see what this YouTube thing is about. So I posted it. Actually, it started. I was in a Facebook group, and someone asked a question about the A6400, the Sony A6400.
Good camera, right
Very
there.
Good camera. And I stand by that camera. It's a great camera. But somebody asked me about it. They said, "Can you shoot a wedding with it?" I said, "Yeah, you can."
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, "No, you can't. It doesn't have dual card slots. It's not professional." But
no.
you know how that goes.
Yeah.
But anyway, to make a long story short, I posted a comment to that, and I said it can be, and the thread went on forever and ever. So I said, why don't I just make a video about this? And that was the first video I made on YouTube.
That's a good move. I like that.
So I kind of got questions from the group, and I used to do that to make my video titles. And then as they kept growing, as I kept posting, it just started to grow. And then what is this? Almost 2 years later now. Yeah. I just hit 8,000 subscribers today.
So congratulations.
Thank you very much. But it's been a journey, though. It's still a learning process.
So let's get that straight. So you're still doing freelance work or your own business and doing YouTube, or how is the transition right now? You're doing full-time YouTube, or is it just like, it's just like the hobby right now? What's like your focus?
So that's a great question. My focus is really all over the place because
sound like me then.
Yeah. I mean, YouTube I'm putting more energy towards that than the other things, but I'm a husband.
Yeah.
I'm a father, a business owner. Yeah. And then we own another business. So it's a lot going on. So YouTube is this thing where like I'm building it, but at the same time, I'm not 100% focused on it just because there's so many other things to do. But as far as the video realm goes, I'm focusing more on YouTube than I am the freelance stuff at this particular moment.
Yeah. So I have a question for that because I need to pull up your channel quickly because preparation, that is the problem right here with like being all over the place. But
listen, that's my life, man. Being prepared.
Yeah, but your channel is very, very niche, and I really like that because that's kind of how I found you, because like my camera selections right now is the EVZ10, the A6400, and a couple other cameras. So where's your channel? I kind of found you in a second, but you come up with really niche ideas, and how do you stick to that niche?
To be honest with you, I think my channel, I never really planned it out to be like, okay, I'm gonna have this niche and this is what I'm going to stick to. It was more like, from what I said before, my whole thing was to help people. So people had questions, and I remember when I was new in videography, I did a lot of research online, and back then there were some people who were really helpful. But as time went on, everybody started just talking about gear, and I couldn't find any actual information on how to get better at videography.
Just buy a new camera.
Exactly.
It's so easy.
Right. That was the fix for everything. It's like, okay, because at the time I was shooting on a Canon T5i. I shot weddings on that.
Yeah.
I mean, it only shoots 1080. It's not a super great. It's a really beginner camera.
The photos are great.
Photos are great.
Video, I'm like,
I made it work, but like you said, this technology is. Come along so much now, but that's kind of how my channel started. I just did things that I was like, okay, if I was in your position, what kind of stuff would I want to watch? So I don't think I planned it to be niche more than it just became that.
Ooh, that is the right approach, I feel like, because like, let me pull it up actually right now. Here's your channel, and like you're like really your purpose lens for the media, and so everything is like evolving around like how to use your gear better. And I think you had a challenge going on. What is your challenge?
So that was the Sony ZV-E10 challenge. And again, it's kind of around what I was just talking about. So the whole purpose of the ZV-E10 challenge was, well, let me first start with this. So the ZV-E10 is a vlogging camera. It came out a couple years ago. It's aimed at vloggers, but it can do
so much more.
But that's what it's aimed for. So it's basically like Sony A6400 that's stripped down to be very basic. So a lot of people have bought this camera thinking it's a beginner camera, but then they buy it and they go, well, wait a minute, I'm not getting the same quality that I'm seeing from all of these reviewers online. So what's the problem? So my whole thing was, well, let me bridge that gap, because everybody's talking about gear. They're comparing the ZV-E10 to the A6400 and the FX30, and it's just all comparison, but nobody's actually talking about how to utilize this thing. So what I said is, I think I need to allow people to come out of their shells, and to be able to.
I think like the beeping. There's a truck in the back. I feel kind of bad for that. I'm so sorry. I don't have really control over that for the guests.
That's fine. We live in a real world. Hey, it's a truck.
By the way, that's EVZ10 right there.
Oh, there we go. Right there. You got a black one.
Yeah, you got the white one.
Yeah, I got the white one.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's put it on the table if you can, because I'm very curious about that, because most people don't really buy the white gear because it's like, I don't know, like it's, you know, the standard is the black edition and then there's the white one, you know, that is like the fancy. Yeah. So what made you choose the white one?
Again, a lot of the choices I make are not intentional.
Yeah.
So at the time, there was a shortage of ZVE10s. You remember when the chip shortage and all of that stuff was happening?
I bought all my cameras they used, like the A6400s, the EVZ10. Picked it up for $500 beforehand.
Oh, wow.
While chip shortage is going on, I'm just like, woo!
Yeah, that was a good time to buy.
Yeah.
But I bought this just before everything got really bad. I actually got it from Crutchfield, and it was the only one I could find.
What's Crutchfield?
Crutchfield is an audio magazine, is what they used to be, but now they sell cameras. They kind of do everything now.
Yeah.
But this was the only color they had. So I said, well, I'll just get a white one. So I didn't make a conscious decision to choose the white, but I kind of like the contrast now because I got this.
It's a little bit special. I like that, you know? It's like everybody has like the standard edition, you know? Out of 5 cameras right now, this is the only special one.
I tell you what, when it's in my bag, I know exactly which one it is. I can just grab it quick.
Yeah.
So I know this is EVE10. But as far as the challenge goes, it was just a challenge to get people to start shooting, to pick up the camera and to get behind it. Because I think a lot of people are, I don't know how deep you want to go, but I think a lot of people, I think because there's so much focus on gear and because there's so much focus on the spectacle of creating, people don't actually create. And we get caught up in just looking at what the tools are. So the challenge is just to get people to pick up the camera. And that's all it really was. So I don't know if you watched it, but there's just videos of people just, you know, vlogging. There's some people doing room tours. There's some people just shooting like scenery and things like that. So that's the whole challenge, just to get behind the camera is what it started out to be. But it's going to evolve, and then the next one is going to be, I'm going to do some critiquing. So the same footage I have, I'm gonna go through it and say, okay, maybe you could change this, maybe we can add that. If your sound is this way, you may want to do this. So that's the where it's going right now.
Oh, I love that, because like that is like very powerful. Most people don't utilize what they have, you know, like, and it's like very, what is it? I saw like a YouTube channel from, it was like in Africa or somewhere, and the guy built out of like PVC pipes, like a
I've seen
gimbal
that.
and whatever, and I'm just like, this guy is utilizing less, more efficient than I do, and he's uploading more, he's doing more, and I just felt guilty about myself, and I'm like, what is going on? You know, we have all this money, we have all those things, you know, we don't create.
I think we have too much choice. I mean, I think, you know, on the front end, you would think, you know, the more choice I have, the better. But but actually, it paralyzes you because you got, you know, if let's say you want to go out and buy a camera, okay, you got vlogging cameras, you got podcast cameras, you got cameras for weddings, you got cameras for you know, sports, and now Sony is starting to break these cameras down into, this is specifically for this, and it's making it difficult for people to make a decision on what they want to get. So I think that's what it is. It's just we have way too much choice nowadays. At least that's what I think.
Yeah, there was like, when you have challenges like you created, you know, it's like really powerful to just be like, oh, use only this lens, only this camera, now get creative. Versus like, oh, now I have like 20 items, and you know, you have to come up with something. But I want to poke at smartphones. What do you feel like about that? Because like nowadays, you know, everybody, like I even had a gig where the real estate client is like, hey, can I see the footage? And I'm like, I pulled up the footage, you know, S-Log and everything. You know, and I'm like, still need to color grade it, the dynamic range of the windows, you know, you can pull a little bit, do a little bit. But he's like, I want iPhone colors and I want it like this right now. And I'm like, well, that does not really work. We can't shoot on the iPhone. And I'm like, is that really happening right now? And it is happening. And I'm just like, there is the transition going on in a way, and I'm not a fan of it. But
no, I understand. I think what has happened is, so the videography and photography community has become opened up to the public. So I think a lot of us, I don't know if I'll even include myself on it, but a lot of the professional videographers and things like that, before social media, they had their own little circles. So what they valued as far as quality and what they looked at as far as quality, they had their own set of standards. And that's still that way today. You go into a forum and you post a video.
Oh boy.
People are going to rip you apart. Oh, I saw some noise in that corner. I saw it jittered right there. Why did it do that? And you're like, well, I'm just trying to show you, what this video is about. But we critique stuff on that level. But the reality of it is that the average person who's watching this stuff, they don't care about all of that. They just want to see what they know. And I think that's a challenge for us new creators, or us as creators today in this new generation, is to not just cater to ourselves, but to cater to the actual clients out there and meet their needs. And sometimes their needs are not that high. They just want something basic.
Yeah, it is also like very interesting when you go onto like social media, like TikTok and whatever, and everybody, like they go viral with like an iPhone. They don't even have a camera, and their stuff is usually really creative. And then you have all the videography nerds, and it's just like, okay, this is shutter speed rule, whatever, all that crap. It's not really interesting, and it's like, and they don't get views, and it's like, it's a very tough thing,
Yeah. But I think that is an opportunity for crossover there. There's an opportunity for those who aren't technical to learn some technical things. And then there's an opportunity for those people who are technical to learn some creative things, because I know some guys online that are very technical. And they're just, and they're talking about bit rate. And I mean, they're going deep. Photo sites. And I'm like, wow, this is like a science lesson to me. But they have no creativity. They say, I shot this B-roll. And it's just like, this is boring. So I think there's a balance that can happen, and I think it's a good time we're living in, to be honest. I like it.
Talking about good times and you're loving it, how you feel about AI? Like there's like so many apps popping up, I cannot even count them. I saw an app where you basically just take a random photo and then you upload it to the app, and it gives you a product photography like in a nice set, and it's like, okay, I guess product photography is kind of dead.
Like I know Midjourney is a big one that everybody's talking about. It kind of gives you this cyberpunk look and things like that. AI, I think, is so new right now. It's hard to formulate an opinion on it. But I think my take on it is this. So AI is creativity mixed with the technical side of what we were just talking about. So it's the perfect blend, but it's already there. So I think the key is to have your learning hat on. Whatever you are, if you're creative or if you're technical, the thing is to learn this AI. Even if you don't understand where it's going to go in the future, but as long as you stay with it and you learn it, because what I've learned about AI so far is like even within the beta version of Photoshop. So you can put your picture in there and you can actually just render, you can actually just add to the picture. And it just does it automatically.
And I love that feature. It's so cool. If you have a viral reel, my idea is like, okay, just make the background so it's horizontal.
Exactly. And there are some YouTubers that have done that. But then in addition to that, you can actually type in there and tell it what you want to put in there. And that's when the creativity part comes in, because if you can't think of something, it's not going to do it. So I think, again, just learning how to use AI and learning how to interact with it is going to be the key. At least for now. I don't know what it's going to be later, though. It
is a weird future. Like in general, I'm just like, everything is evolving so fast, and I'm just like, I don't even know on what to focus. But how do you find, like, let's say, your purpose, your ideas and everything? So you're still going by that old strategy, like what is going on in the forums, or how do you come up with video ideas right now?
I think what it is I just listen to what the people say. I'm finding that most of my video ideas come from the comment section.
Gotcha.
Because if I'll go through my comments and now, and I'm not trying to say I'm a huge YouTuber at all, but
you got a couple.
I got a few. I'm getting there, but it's to the point. It started out where I would get maybe 5 comments a day, 6, but now sometimes it's 70 comments, and I'm like, I can't. I can't answer all these, but what I will do is I'll look through, and there'll be common themes a lot of times. And a lot of people will say, well, I got the ZV-E10, what's the best lens? And then, okay, maybe that's a good video. Maybe I should do a lens or a video on what's the best lens. So that's where most of my ideas come from. But then also I'll look at other people's channels as well, and I'll go, well, he covered that, but he missed this part of it.
Gotcha.
So then I'll just kind of do the same thing, but fill in those gaps from my own perspective. And that's how I kind of come up with content.
Yeah. I'm like, you're doing a really, really good job. I kind of want to show it again. Like, you know, you got some kind of viral ones here, like for small creators, like at 70K, 50K, you know. I'm like, this is like, it is nearly to a point where I'm like, some people could make a living off of it if you have like Amazon affiliate, if you have like X, Y, and Z, you know, or sponsored deals and all that, because you don't really need that much. But I also know people who have a lot of subscribers and they don't make any money.
That's very true.
Yeah, so I'm like, where would you fit yourself on the scale of like, I can make a living with YouTube, or still like, you know?
It's kind of mixed. I mean, because I'm still growing. This is still new to me. Like I said, I've been on this now for a year and a half, 2 years. Yeah. So, I mean, I've learned so much I want to say the first year was just me just trying stuff out.
Gotcha.
So if it worked, it was just because it just worked. I didn't know anything, but now I have a little bit of better understanding of things. So now that I do, I'm starting to structure videos a little bit differently. Yeah. And I've actually had, I want to say maybe 6 or 7 different brands reach out to me already.
There we go.
They sent me stuff. I've reviewed it. And now I'm in the process of going through, okay, well, how do I actually structure this deal so that I can be either a brand ambassador, or how do I deal with these things so it's just not an exchange of gear and a review.
There's also like a tough thing where it's like, you know, you get free gear. So I had a couple times where I'm like, okay, somebody sent me like underwater bag, and I'm just like, I guess I'll make a review for it, you know, but I want to be paid because it's not really worth my time, you know. And I'm just like, okay, now I feel like a sellout doing it, you know. It is so tough to, you know, like reviewing the right stuff, and I'm just like, and getting the right gear to review without being like a sellout. So there's like so much going on.
Well, I think when it comes to that, there's 2 things. The first thing is branding. I think, you know, understanding how to brand. Well, first of all, what is branding? You know, branding is what other people see you as, you know. When, just like if I think of a phone that's coming out, I go, okay, well, MKBHD. What does he think about the phone? Because he's a brand. His brand is, I'm going to thoroughly go over the phone. I'm going to give you the ins and outs, the good, the bad, and if you should buy it or not, if you should wait. So I think that's the first thing, is understanding your brand. If somebody sends me, because I've had companies try to send me things that have nothing to do with what I stand for, like they sent me some what's this new company? I can't remember the name of the company, but like hair products and stuff. I'm like, this is not going to work.
Let's go into fashion for a quick moment, you know,
it's not going to work. It's not going to work on my channel. I mean, I could do it, but and it's not going to get any views. So I think that's the first part, is just understanding your brand. And then the second part of knowing when to, you know, choose, you know, what you're going to review, is understanding, as far as the sellout goes, is understanding that YouTube is a business. I think, you know, I came into it with the mindset that, okay, this is a platform where I can be creative, and you can be creative on YouTube, but it's a business. YouTube pays advertisers, or advertisers pay YouTube in order to be on the platform, and that's how they get money, and we get a cut of that as creators. So if I approach it from that standpoint, it's like, okay, I'm not a sellout any more than someone who's going to their job to work is a sellout. I mean, you're giving your time, you're giving your energy to this company. It's the same thing.
I also think like a person only becomes a sellout on YouTube if they promote like something that's obviously bad, you know, but usually if I get something that I don't like, I'm like, okay, we're not going to make that review. That thing goes in the trash or goes back or whatever, you know. It's like, you don't have an obligation to share anything.
Exactly. Well, I think somebody becomes a sellout when they are not true to their audience. If you are reviewing things and recommending things, number one, that you don't use, number two, that you don't believe in, and you're telling other people to buy it, that's a sellout to me. Not only is that a sellout, I think that's just bad character. I mean,
basically,
you know, that's a selfish way to move through YouTube. I don't condone that at all.
But with that being said too, like, we talk now a lot about like how you get your video ideas and how you do what you do. But how you stick with a niche, you know, like I think this is the hardest part, you know. Some people want to be like, I want to be a vlogger, I want to be a gear reviewer, I want to be this and that. How do you stay on your lane?
You know what? It's interesting because again, I never really thought about how to. I think
how many videos did you do? You did not thought about that?
I mean, I've thought about. I think what it is so
130.
That's where I am. 130. I didn't know I had that many.
Yeah, 136 videos. You know,
I didn't realize I had 136. I just haven't looked at that number. I looked at the subscribers and stuff like that, and the total view count. I think I just went over 800,000 total views. 200
away from like 1 million.
Yeah. So I'm getting close there, but I didn't realize I had 136. Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
But as far as me, you know, sticking to a niche. I think it comes from, and this is just kind of how the title of my channel and things like that kind of, I think, has to do with it. So I'm a big believer in purpose.
Yeah.
And to me, purpose is doing what it is that you were created and designed to do. Once you do that, you are fulfilling your purpose. So when you figure out what your purpose is, then everything that you do flows through that channel. So now I'm not trying to go all over the place to try to find out what I'm supposed to be doing. Rather, everything that comes to me goes through this channel of purpose. So I think my channel kind of mirrors that. Whereas, okay, my goal is to help people learn the camera, especially beginners to intermediate, and to develop the courage to pick up the camera and to actually record, whether you're behind it, whether you're going to be doing wedding videography, because again, with this gear focused culture that we live in,
I call it gas, like gear acquisition.
Exactly. So when you live in that place like that, you don't develop yourself. You develop your knowledge on gear, but your knowledge on gear doesn't help you connect with people. It doesn't help you shoot. You know, I can know about photo sites, ISO, but that means nothing when I'm shooting a wedding. You know, how do I capture this in a way so that the bride and groom later will love this video? They don't care about photo sites. You know, if it's a crappy shot and they go, but wait a minute now, this is 4K 120 we're looking at. Yeah, but I don't. This doesn't mean anything. Yeah, but listen, this was shot on a full frame. Okay. Like, they don't care about that. So all they know is I want the thing to speak to me. And I think because we don't focus on actually creating, which is why I like the name of your podcast. I'll talk about that too. But because we don't focus on that so much, I think a lot of people don't know who they are, and they don't know what they're supposed to be doing, and they don't know when they create, they're not sure what they're even supposed to be creating.
Yeah, so that's very deep. So with like that in mind, so how so let's say, you know, you pick, you choose your purpose, you know, whatever you feel like, okay, this is it at the moment, I think this is my calling, you know, I'm going all in on that. You do that like for 5-6 months, then you kind of get into like a tough time of like, this is kind of boring, you know, because it shouldn't be like still interesting to you how, you know, how the camera settings work. You know, it kind of gets boring. And so I struggle with that. If I make a tutorial, like, what tutorials do I do? Because like most of the stuff is too easy for me. I'm like, so it's not really interesting to somebody else. But if you break down the basics, it really helps some people, you know. How you deal with that?
I think, again, it's just focusing on not me, but the people. The people tell you what they need. Just looking at the comments,
that's deep.
Looking at, you know, where they are. You know, I'll see a lot of people. They'll post and they'll comment, "Oh, I love this camera. I love what you're doing." And then I'll look at their page. They have no subscribers. They have no videos. And I go, "Well, why is that? Why don't you have any videos?" And I start to think maybe they're afraid to get behind the camera. Maybe they don't like the sound of their voice. Maybe someone critiqued them and told them they would never be good at it. I don't know. So what I do is I try to look at them and go, well, they have a purpose too. Not only me, but they have a purpose. And what can I do to help them find whatever their purpose is? Even if it's just to give them a little bit of confidence to pick up the camera and shoot. So when I see people with no subscribers, I mean, everybody doesn't have to have videos. That's fine. But if you're talking about cameras and you're watching my channel, more than likely you have a desire to pick up a camera. So that's where it comes from, is looking at other people. That would be my answer.
With that being said, like, you know, the people without subscribers are usually the worst type of people with the comments. It's just like, okay, this camera sucks. This is not good, you know, man. But in the end, it's like you go on their channel and like, many uploads you got there.
Yeah, that is very true. That is something that I struggled with, and even from time to time now, I struggle with it. I will tell anybody, if you're gonna be starting YouTube, just be prepared for people to attack you for no reason. And like you said, it's gonna be the people that have no content, no face, or no anything. But I think the same rings true for them as well. Yeah. Even the people who are haters, they want to find their purpose too. And I think a lot
of that. Don't hate for
no. That's not your purpose. Your purpose is always going to revolve around you helping someone. Somebody else's life is going to be enhanced because of what you do, not degraded. And it's you're not going to be taking away from somebody. You're going to be adding with your purpose. It's always going to be that.
Yeah, that's kind of my mentality. It's like a win-win situation, like in a regular world, if you create a win-win condition, everybody wins, and if two people succeed, like the environment gets better,
Right, exactly.
But if there's somebody like, oh no, he made better than me, he made more money, and then now I'm like shit-talking on the person, you bring everything down. Nobody's getting help. Nobody's getting better,
Exactly.
It's like mindset is so big on that. What are like the things that help you with your mindset and keeping your focus aligned?
That's a great question, because to be honest with you, I think I have ADHD. I'm not even joking. I really do. Because focus is one of those things. I talk about it in videos as far as camera lenses, but I don't have focus myself a lot of the time.
When I see your channel from the outside, here's me with ADHD, and my channel represents that pretty much. You see like vlogs, you see gear reviews, you see bike stuff, and I'm kind of not really anymore in a niche, and I'm like, that's how I found you. I'm like, okay, let's do a little bit of research on like my camera, and kind of like, okay, try to nail down a niche, and if I would do a channel like yours, how would I do it? And I'm like, oh, he kind of nailed it, and I'm like, how do you focus on that? And that's my struggle.
Right. So the question is, how do I find my niche?
It kind of, I was just like kind of like, how do you stick with it so long? But we got that already through the purpose. I'm just like, but that's how I kind of found it.
I think the way I stick with my niche is, I feel like I'm just saying the same thing, but I'll give you more of a practical. Yeah. So, first of all, the cameras I talk about I own. Yeah. So somebody isn't sending me a camera. Yeah. And then I review it and I send it back. Yeah. And I think that helps for me to stick with it, because when I open up this camera, whether it's the ZV-10, FX30, H6400, whatever camera I'm using, if you look through the menu of your camera, there's hundreds of settings in there. And 9 times out of 10, you don't know what they all do. Yeah. We can all learn something different. And even if we know what they do, they may do something different in different circumstances. So I think what my mindset is, just go through this camera and master it. Know it in and out. And I actually think I have a video on that, how to master your camera, and it's just spending time with it. Yeah. So I think the more I spend time with my camera, just like a relationship, things come up. You realize that there's more to it than what you thought. Just like when you get married, I don't want to turn this into a marriage relationship.
Well, if that helps, sometimes like if your wife is a creator, that would help.
Yeah, exactly. Well, as you progress, I don't know if you have any children or not.
No, sadly not. Okay. My wife had an accident. Now she's like recovering. We kind of were like maybe, and now it's like, okay, recovery time.
I got you. Well, hopefully she gets better. Yeah. And things like that. But even that, going through a situation where you're with your wife and you're working with her as she recovers, brings out certain aspects of you that you didn't realize were there. So you had to be probably different than you have been to her in certain areas. So the same is true when you're dealing with cameras and things like that. The more you use it and you're in different environments, and over time, you start to find ways that you can interact with it that you didn't know you could before. Yeah. So I think that's how I stay on. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. But how you keep your mindset like high? Like obviously there's sometimes haters and there's like demotivation. So what do you do? Who are your inspirations, and how do you keep your,
that's a good question.
How do you being like stoked all the time and just like, let's create.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm not stoked all the time. Let's get that part straight. I have my days, man, where I'm down. I'm not in a good space. Yeah. And that's another thing about YouTube. When you come on YouTube, you got to put on this face. You got to put on this persona that things are good and that you're happy. Because nobody's gonna want to watch you if you, hey, today we're gonna review this. I don't really feel like doing this, but you clowns are watching, so. I gotta do it. Nobody will.
That will be the intro,
right? Exactly. So that part, I'm not always that way, but I think what keeps me on point is honestly my wife.
Yeah,
she helps me stay grounded. With the encouragement, she'll say, "Hey, because honestly." Sometimes you post a video and it doesn't do well.
Yeah, that's a bad feeling, How long you edit on a video, usually?
It really all depends.
Yeah.
I want to say the longest I've edited probably maybe 8-9 hours.
This is a good amount.
And I want to say that was the Sony ZV, that was the Kitlins video.
Yeah.
I think because I did a lot of different things with that. Like I did some B-roll out in the garage with the car, the little skits and stuff like that. So that stuff takes time. Did it do well? I think so. I can't remember. I think it did. I think it's 70,000 views.
Yeah, that's pretty well. Like my biggest video, for example, is like a video of an ant that I filmed with a macro lens sticked onto my phone at the time. It's like 90,000 views.
Oh, that's good.
And I'm just quick record and 90,000 views, and it's my best viewed video, and it took me no time to edit.
Yeah.
And then I edited a video for 20 hours and I get no views.
Yeah, exactly. So talking about staying motivated, it's one of those things where you can't look at the numbers first of all. If you look at the numbers, you will lose your motivation, especially when you start to compare yourself to other people. So I say the first step in not feeling like you want to give up is stop comparing yourself to other people.
Yeah.
And again, this goes back to your purpose. Okay, how much better can I be than what I am now? And if you look at that, and you need people around you, I think too, to help you, because a lot of times we as creators, at least I know for me, we can start to think, okay, well, it's up to me to do everything. I got to do the research on the videos, the titles, the thumbnails, everything. And we take on, I got to be my own motivator too.
Yeah.
And that's very difficult to do because a lot of these views and things that we're seeing from other creators, that's coming from teams.
Yeah.
You got teams of people.
It looks so easy.
It does look easy. And it is for them to a point because they're just talking. So I would say again, just to focus on what it is that you love, number one, with your purpose, and have people around you that can encourage you as well.
Yeah. That's the main one. I got you. Like for me, it's like I put myself usually in a situation where I was like, okay, let's collab, and I'm like, so I invite like a buddy or something, and I have usually a couple of YouTube friends. I'm like, okay, let's film together, So I have now I have to edit because now I had that person coming out. Now I have to, I put like external forces on myself. So I'm like,
that's good though. I think
it's my little cheat.
Well, I think you call it a cheat, but I think that's wise.
Yeah,
because we aren't. Everything that we've seen has been done before in some way, shape, or fashion. So it's one of those things where if you get people together, and this is a way I think you beat AI, by the way. I think...
I don't know. Like, I'm very pessimistic about that.
Well, here's my thought. So AI is good at a lot, right? So it can take the technical, it can take the creative, and it can put it together quickly.
Yeah.
Well, the same thing is true if you have a group of people.
Yeah.
Let's say you have a person who specializes in editing, specializes in color grading, specializes in sound design, and all these people have their specialties and they come together. Well, that frees you up to be more creative in whatever it is you're good at. If you're good at capturing angles, now you can just focus on the angle. You don't have to worry about the edit. You don't have to worry about the color. So as people do that, we can grow and grow to do more and do bigger things. But we're looking at ourselves individually against AI, and that's no match for that. And I think that's a big part of it.
It's a big problem. But on the other side, that is like kind of what I kind of admire about YouTube, when I don't know if you're big into Casey Neistat or whatever back in the day,
Casey.
So basically it's like, oh yeah, you become your own film studio. You don't need anybody. Look at me now. Like I have here all the cameras. Like I'm a TV production now.
You guys can't see it, but he's got a whole studio in here. It's cameras and everything.
Yeah, but basically I'm like, okay, the future is becoming like more, it's like you can do everything if you want to. But you need to know what you want, and here's me, I'm like
and I think again, I think that comes from being around other people. And again, not to change your podcast into like a religion podcast, but I believe in God. I have a strong belief in God, and I believe that he created each and every one of us, and when he created us for a purpose. So if you look at this microphone, what is this?
The Zoom. The budget.
So, budget. What is it called?
The Zoom, whatever.
The Zoom. It sounds good. But so like when Zoom made this microphone, they didn't take a bunch of pieces and put this thing together and then say, let's figure out what we want this thing to be. Let's call it a microphone. No, they said, we want to make a microphone that does these things. and we want it to operate like this and all these parameters. This is how we want it to be. And then they sat down and then they designed it. And the design supports the use. So they said, we're going to design it so that it can fulfill the purpose in which we created it to be. And that's the same way I believe we were created. So we were not created as an afterthought. So it's not like, okay, I'm here. What am I supposed to do? No, it's like, no, you're here for a reason. So since you're here for a reason, that's what you need to do. And I think a lot of people never figure that out. And because they don't figure that out, we end up running around
in circles, doing everything and nothing.
Exactly. And that's why I will look at people like Casey Neistat and go, wow, I'll never be like Casey. And like, you won't, but you're not designed to be like Casey. And you're not, and you don't have to be better than Casey. You just have to be who you are. And that's already unique. And I think that's the thing that people forget is like, you being who you are is you being unique. Unique isn't something you have to become. It's something you already are.
I love that. With that being said, like, who are your inspirations? Like, obviously, you can take a little bit of inspiration from some people, you know, and make your own blend and, you know, learn and get inspired. You got a small list or something like that?
I have a lot of people who inspire me. There's people musically who inspire me.
Okay. Who? So what's the music?
Oh, man. I shouldn't go down this road because I'm going to start talking about music. Little Brother, I don't know if you ever heard of him. Nope. Ninth Wonder, he's a music producer.
Gotcha.
Mad Villain, MF Doom.
Oh, okay, that dude I know.
Yeah, The Roots. And then we can bring it all the way over to the gospel side. We could do Kirk Franklin. We could do Fred Hammond. Then we can go to the jazz side. We can do Corey Henry. I love Corey Henry. I don't know if you know who he is.
I'm from Germany. So
from Germany.
So my culture is a little bit different. I'm like the weird plant out here, you know, like, hey guys, how's it going? You know, going outside and it's like everybody's like, I'm getting murdered, and I'm like, my wife thought like I'm a serial killer or whatever, and I'm just like, no, I just want to date you and bring you to your car. I'm trying to be a gentleman, you know.
Right.
And she's just like, no, I walk myself to the car on the first date. And now we're married 8 years, whatever.
Oh wow, congratulations,
you know?
Man. That's a big accomplishment. Actually, 8 years. That's good.
Yeah, so I'm just like, America is different, to say the least.
But as far as somebody from where you live that's inspiring is Misha. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He drives cars. I forgot his last name. But he drives around the Nürburgring.
Oh, okay.
There's a track in Germany.
Yeah, you can rent it, or you can watch the big races and everything.
So this guy, he takes his cars, well, not his cars, but he takes other subscribers' cars. They'll reach out to him and say, hey, you do want to do a lap around the Nürburgring on my car? He'll say, yeah. So he'll drive around, and he's like a professional driver at this point. So it'll be anything from like a Toyota Celica to a Porsche GT3, you know. So, but here's the crazy thing, and this is maybe kind of speaks to what we were talking about before as far as purpose and gear and things like that go. So this guy Misha can take a car like, let's say it's a Honda Civic.
Yeah, something affordable.
Yeah, something affordable, not a lot of horsepower, but because he has the skill to drive it so well, he'll be passing other cars that are 5 times faster than the car. Yeah. But because he knows how to drive that track and he knows the curves and he knows how to get the most out of it, he goes faster around that track than people with better cars. So I don't know. I just thought that was something.
You know, I feel that. Like, this is like one of the things when I had a buddy teaching me playing guitar, and I had like a $80 guitar, you know, I'm just like, can't play anything, you know. I'm just like, okay, how do you play the song? And that guy took the guitar and just played 1-to-1 the song that he heard, and, you know, he covered it instantly. And I'm like, this guy is a master. And then he became my best buddy, Oleg Hideki, what's up? But basically, he is just like, you know, he took a cheap tool and made it like so good that I was like, this is not my guitar, and it completely sounded different. Yeah. And I feel like the same is true of like gear in general.
Yes, exactly.
You know? And it's like one of those things where it's like you have to reach mastery in a way, and that will free you a little bit, but it's time consuming.
Yeah, it is. It takes time. Yeah. A lot of things take time. I think of, what is that? Steak and Shake?
Steak and Shake?
They're like a burger joint. Yeah. They say, you know, I can't remember exactly what it says, but basically they said it's going to take time because it's quality.
Steak and shake.
I mean, hey,
I'm like, might be if it's a fancy restaurant, but steak and shake.
That's what they say. Hey, if you want to sponsor me Steak and Shake, I'm here.
Yeah, well, let's do it.
I haven't eaten there in a while, but I just remember their sign saying that, or maybe it was Culver's. I can't remember. It was one of those people that said it. But anyway.
Yeah. So what else do you do in your free time besides like editing YouTube videos, doing freelance work? What are your hobbies and whatever?
My hobbies literally are everything. I like cars. And in fact, I was supposed to be meeting my brother to work on some cars and things like that. But like even Misha, the guy I was telling you about. So I love cars. I love modding cars, getting into turbos and stuff like that. I love music. That's actually what my passion was before I even got into videography and things like that. Just music production. I use Reason.
I know Fruity Loops a little bit.
Fruity Loops, from back in the day.
What is Reason?
So Reason is a modular synth. So if you could look back in the day, well, not even back in the day, they still have them, where you have these synths that are modular. So that means you plug one control voltage into another thing.
Oh, the analog, old school.
Analog synths. So you use a keyboard to control it.
Whatever.
Yeah, so this is basically a digital representation of that.
Oh.
So they have a bunch of different instruments mixed in, so you can do vocal recording and basically produce music on this thing, samplers, all that stuff in there. So that's what I started out on, using that. I also have used things like, GarageBand and stuff like that. That's just the play stuff. But Reason was really the go-to one.
Gotcha.
That's probably my biggest hobby outside of this.
Yeah. So what type of music you make there? The same like hip hop, jazz?
Yeah, mostly hip hop type stuff.
Gotcha.
I love hip hop. So.
There we go. So that's interesting. So what are your plans though, like for the YouTube channel in general for the next year? Because obviously everything is kind of like changing in a weird way with AI and fast moving. I hear like we talked about it on the phone, like YouTube is removing links from shorts and all that stuff. So what's your game plan so far?
I think that's a great question. First of all, I think YouTube is going to be here for a long time. But I think if you're creating nowadays, you want to establish yourself on YouTube, but then you want to build your own thing. And that's what I'm in the process of doing now, is building my own thing. So I want to see where this ZVE10 challenge goes. But excuse me.
No worries.
One of my goals is to create resources so that people can learn about videography and photography. So it could be paid. So I may go over to Patreon, but creating some type of course curriculum. But then I would love my own media studio where people can come. There'll be mics like this. Say, you want to learn the podcast? Okay, well, let's sit down with Fitz. He knows
got the 32-bit, got to have all that shenanigans.
So now you're not on YouTube scrolling, trying to find and get these bits of information and put them together, because that's the biggest problem with YouTube now, is you can learn everything on YouTube.
Stretched out.
It's all segmented. And then some people are on there just selling you gear. So if you can go to a place where, okay, this person is trying to help me and they know what they're talking about, and I'm not going to have to learn about all this other stuff that has no bearing or benefit to my life. So that's kind of what I would like to do.
Oh, gotcha. Like I mean, like right now, like the truck is going on, so I had to change the settings. Never change settings when it's like a first time something new, and then try it beforehand. But with that being said, like there's a difference having like a mentor. Have you had mentors or anything like that in general?
So this is something I agree with you 100%. I agree with mentorship as a whole. And personally, no, I haven't in the physical form had a mentor. My mentors have been on YouTube.
Gotcha.
When it came to audio, I used to listen to a guy named Dave Pensado. So he's a mixer. He's a mixing engineer. He's mixed for Beyonce, everybody. Like he's one of the greatest and the best. So he was my mentor, and he taught me a lot about just how to approach a mix, a gain staging, and compression and EQ and all those things, and how they fit into the mix and how to use them sparingly. But when it comes to videography, there's so many. There was a guy, what was his name? It was Dave Dugdale. I don't know if he's still around. I watched a lot of Dave Dugdale. He was a guy, he never claimed to be a professional, but he was. But he approached everything from the mindset of, I don't know it all.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to learn. So I learned a lot from Dave Dugdale. Tony and Chelsea Northrup.
Yeah.
I watched them a lot. I learned a lot from them. Fro Knows Photo. He's the guy with the big afro.
Yeah, I know that guy.
FroKnowsPhoto.com.
He's a little bit like, I think like he has a character and he plays the character well. It's like, it seems like you need to be a little bit special so that you get that clout and you kind of, people will talk about you because of the hair or whatever.
Exactly. But I think he was around before a lot of these other YouTubers were. So he's been on YouTube for a
OG
while
too.
Yeah, he's one of the OGs. And he, I think that personality helped me remember him. You know? And I think, everybody's trying to do that now. Everybody's trying to have this big over the top personality. I feel like
it kind of works, it's like I just can do it. Like I'm kind of too real, and I'm just like I'm just being me. Yeah. But apparently you shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing is I don't think a lot of people even know, and I'm not saying you, but a lot of people don't even know who they are because they think, okay, I have to be this over the top, person. A lot of people have told me on my comments, they say, you're really relaxed, you're really chill. You're really, and I love that. And I'm like, well, I guess a lot of times the reason I'm that way is because I'm tired. I'm recording at 3 a.m.
What?
In the morning, yeah.
Okay, let's talk about your workflow. Now I'm like so curious. Okay, the grind is real.
Yeah.
So let's go into it.
So being that, like I said before, I wear many hats. I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a son, all those things, business owner. And then, my wife and I, we own another business as well. Yeah. And another business after that. So
kind of doing the same thing, flipping shit.
There's always something to do. I might get a call and I need to go over to the group home and see about something there. Maybe it's something with the van there. Yeah. So my time looks like, when you're recording, it needs to be quiet, but when you have a child, it
never is.
You have to work around their schedule. Yeah. So when she's home, I can't record. I'll shoot B-roll and stuff like that. So most of my B-roll I get when she's up.
Yeah.
And when she goes to bed, that's when I do all my talking head stuff. I'll set up my lights. The house is quiet. Everybody's asleep. The TV's off.
Yeah.
Then I'll go ahead and talk. But then a lot of times I'm just tired. So I'm just like, that's why my voice is so mellow. It's not because I'm trying to be this guy. I'm just super tired.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Damn, the grind is real. It's not easy managing that many hats and like doing YouTube company stuff. It's like,
it's not.
Yeah. But it's like, obviously you have your purpose and that keeps you pushing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you got any tips like for like creators who have family and they kind of just want to go in there besides like best workflow for like, okay, got to do this, or this helps?
Yeah. That's a great question, by the way. You're a good interviewer. I will say that.
I don't know. I'm trying.
No, you are. I think you are because you ask questions that allow the person to expand, and then you go off the top of the head with that. I think you're good at it. But I just want to say
I'm just also live editing.
I know. That's what I'm saying. You're doing a lot of multitasking. You're thinking about the angle, so you're doing good. I would say tips for people who have families. The first thing is to don't just quit your day job. don't do that because that's what I did. So I was working at a place. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. This was after I did all the shoots with the company I was doing it with. And I was making good money. Sometimes I was getting checks at $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. And I was like, man,
good.
Yeah, if I could just keep this going.
Let's go. Keep it coming. And then it's like drying up. And you're like, wait a minute.
So I didn't know that at first. I'm like, I can make way more money just doing this.
Yeah.
So I quit my job. And, and then after I quit, I was like, well, wait a minute. It's a little bit difficult. And this is right around the time we were having our child.
Yeah. Was it COVID or before COVID, after COVID?
This was years ago. This was about 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
6 years ago now.
Yeah. COVID is 4.
COVID was like 3 years ago.
Yeah. Time is running out.
Time is moving so fast, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would say my tips would be don't quit your job right away. If you want to get into YouTube, right, specifically, find time. So what you want to do is this. I'm going to talk to people who are married.
Yeah.
And with kids, especially, because you don't want to break your relationship with your spouse. That's important.
Yeah.
It's really important to
priorities.
Maintain. Yes. So you want to sit down, and I'm not saying I did this.
I wish I did this.
Yeah. This is hindsight is 2020 type advice. So what you want to do is sit down with your wife, and you want to say, hey, honey, I have this passion. I want to try YouTube.
Yeah.
And if she says yes, then great. After that, then you sit down with her and you make a plan. You say, okay, on the weekends when everything's done, maybe on a Saturday, Could you guys just give me maybe 4 to 5 hours for me to create? I'll have my space, my office, whatever it is. If I could have the house quiet, if you guys could just let me do this.
You got to be very careful how you choose those words.
Exactly.
Just be a little bit quiet if you can.
Yeah, I mean, because you don't want to say, I'm going to do it, because it's not going to work. You're going to have the pressures mentally, and you're not going to be able to think creatively. Yeah. So you got to go into that. You got to plan that. And then as you do it, you have to have realistic expectations. Okay, your first video, probably first 100 videos are not going to probably do that well, unless you're just magically talented or whatever. Yeah. So you got to learn a lot. So watch people like I highly recommend Roberto Blake.
Yeah. Oh, that was the guy that we meant in the beginning. Roberto.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Roberto Blake, man, that dude, he's on another level because he speaks to people who are like in real world situations. These other people who talk about copying Mr. Beast and stuff like that. I can't copy Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast is like 20 and he's got time to kill. I'm older with kids and a wife. So but so that's the thing I would say is prioritize your time as far as what you're gonna do and how you want to approach YouTube. And then once you get the ball rolling, then you can start to pull out of your job and things like that. But that would be my advice. Is just go into it slowly and don't have unrealistic expectations that you're gonna grow quickly overnight. You might, but you might not.
Having your partner on board is obviously very powerful, but obviously you always have to be careful how you phrase things.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I'll put it like this: if you don't know how to phrase things, then don't start a YouTube channel. You need to work on your marriage because you don't want your marriage to fall apart because of YouTube. Trust
me. Yeah, I actually, I had like somewhere full of people and they did the daily vlogs.
Oh, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, the workload is like, but his name was Little Manlet, and
what's his name? Little Manlet?
Yeah. So he's a videographer who's basically like shooting music videos and is big in the music industry. And he had a wife and whatever, and you kind of saw like that thing fall apart and you felt really bad. But I was like really like, I still remember this dude, and that is like 4 or 5 years ago,
Yeah.
And like kind of like having a partner and being around with the camera and like, hey hon, can we go to the park? Can you film me? It's like a weird thing,
Yeah. And I've seen a lot of YouTubers talk about burnout too. Yeah. Just YouTube becomes...
How burned out are you now with all those jobs?
Honestly, YouTube is more like a release for me, to be honest. Because the other things in life burn me out more. Just the constant... I guess I'll say stress. The constant stress of, making sure my daughter's okay, making sure she's safe, making sure my wife's okay, she's safe. I want to be positive, but sometimes I'm not. So I'm looking at everything that could go wrong and looking at the things that are going wrong, and I'm trying to put those fires out. So YouTube allows me to just go, okay, this is what I love doing this. I love talking to other people, meeting other even you. Like, I wouldn't be sitting here had I not started the YouTube channel. So it's stuff like that keeps me going, I think.
Yeah. So also like for mental, like I think like there's a lot of people consuming news, and I'm like big against news. Like if you watch news, so like I'm like, you go in there and you just like get negativity everywhere. You load up with it.
That's so true.
I'm like, I sometimes like stopped doing stuff because I was afraid about certain things. And then I'm like, okay, I can't do that. I just like detox and basically did not consume what made me fearful, kind of. No. But sometimes you fall back into a bad habit.
No, you're absolutely right. I think a lot like you do. I think like the news, I hardly ever watch the news. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I think it's a good thing. Like there's nothing we can do about the news besides like, it's like, okay, it's happening. I guess I'm lucky or not.
True. That's very true. And the way news is reported nowadays,
it seems clickbaity and the worst. It's the end of the world.
Exactly. Everything's a new reason to be scared, a new reason to get ready.
So did you watch that thing? I was like, oh no, you got to watch this because it's the end of the world.
Right. Exactly. So I agree with you. I think staying away from the news can be very healthy.
Yeah. What are like other things where you're just like, I kind of want to do like reach out to something new? You have anything like that where it's like new formats or anything like that?
I do. And this might be weird, but I'm really big into relationships and like marriage and things like that.
I know that could be like a TikTok channel.
It could be. I was just watching a video, speaking of news, I was just watching a video and it was from the Surgeon General. and they were saying that there is an epidemic of loneliness in this country.
Yeah.
And you think, well, wait a minute, how can there be an epidemic of loneliness if we have all this connection with TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube? You would think that we would have connections, but we have a lot of connections, but they're not deep connections.
Or real. Like, in person is different.
Exactly.
Like, the whole in-person thing is like, after you meet somebody in person, you feel the energy, you feel the vibe, right. You know, you're real connected. You spend more time than like, oh, I saw a reel for 5 seconds and scrolled by. Right, and like, that was my 5-second connection with a person that I kind of know, you know?
Exactly. But then even it transfers over into real life. You know, I've been in elevators before. I went to the doctor maybe, I want to say a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I got in this elevator, and it was a really nice elevator. I don't know why that matters. But I got in it, and there was a lady and a man in there.
Yeah.
And I said, good morning.
And people are like, what?
They just looked at me. And I'm like, you know, and I don't expect everybody to say good morning to me, but it's just those little connections like that can sometimes make somebody's day better. Yeah. And I think because sometimes you get in an elevator and somebody's just scrolling on social media and they don't even make eye contact with you. Yeah. So I think this thing of loneliness, and you asked me about about my other thing, but I'm big on relationships. So I think that building relationships is very important, and loneliness is the result of not building meaningful relationships. And I think a lot of people have replaced social media with actually building meaningful relationships. And this is kind of what I want to do with my people on my channel. Is with this challenge is I'm going, okay, I want this to benefit you. Yeah. I don't want you to come away and you buy another piece of gear and then my affiliate links, I make money. I mean, I want that too, but that's not all I want. I want you to actually grow. And I think that if you look at people from the standpoint of I want to build a relationship with you, or even if I want to build something that will help you and benefit you, then I think you'll be more effective in what you do. It may take you longer to grow, but I think it's I believe it's part of my purpose is to help others become their best through videography and through photography.
I feel also like right now with like all that AI stuff and jobs are disappearing. So in my doom and gloom scenario, everybody losing their job and it's like, what are we going to do now? You know, AI and bots are wanting to do everything. It's like whoever builds the biggest real community is like basically like, oh yeah, I trade and barter with my friends, you know? Yeah. People without friends, they will be kind of screwed if I'm like right with my doom and gloom kind of situation.
Right, exactly.
So that's kind of how I see it. But yeah, I obviously don't want to be doom and gloom.
No, I don't think I don't want to be doom and gloom. It's easy to be that way though, because there's so many things that push you that way. Yeah. But as far as AI goes, I think building community and relationship, like what you said, is key. Remember that movie I Am Legend with Will Smith?
Yeah.
I love that movie. Well,
that was the one with the dog, or if I remember. Yes. So sad.
It was sad when he had to. Yeah. But that movie, it was really deep to me because
it's a good movie too.
It's a very good movie. I might watch it again now. But it was interesting because he was driving around at one point in like a Mustang. He had access to all these cars. He could go to. They never showed it, but theoretically he could have went to a dealership, drove any car he wanted. He could have stayed in any luxury condo. He could have done a lot of things, but there were no people there. Yeah. So
kind of ruins it.
It didn't mean anything. So that makes me think, so then what is the real meaning then? Yeah. It's the people. So even this AI, we start, the AI. No, focus on the people. Yeah. Because the AI is there for the people. If you make a connection with the people, you don't have to worry about what the AI is doing. Build connection with people. I really think that's the key to it.
Yeah, the next thing that I kind of saw happening is like AA agencies, and it's like automated AI agencies where they're just like replacing text messages, and they can sell for you and do things for you. So if you text a celebrity right now, there's a high chance that you get an automated response that is ChatGPT free. So if you ask it something, it will respond creatively, so you cannot even figure out what is going on. What is like the new great firewall in my head. So it's like the people who are lonely will reach out to people and they know this is not a real person. I'm just like, oh.
Well, I think that can be actually a good thing. Yeah. Because it can create an environment to where people are going to crave authenticity. Yeah. More than just knowing that there's an AI chat thing on the other end. So now we can talk like we're talking. Okay, how is your life at home? Because so far, I don't know if AI is doing that. How do you how are you feeling? I'm sure it's going to get there. Yeah. But again, I just think building community and relationship with people is key. Like even you invited me on this podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for actually coming out and doing this weird thing.
It's not weird to me because I like to talk. Like I'll go over your limit. I don't know how much SD card space you got.
Oh, it's all on here, 128, and it's super small.
Okay, good. I don't want to use it. We might.
I don't even know how long we have. We are at 1 hour and 8, but we can go 2 free.
Okay, so
but food is also a thing.
Right, exactly. But yeah, I just think building with people is the key to this thing. I really believe that.
Yeah. So have you? So obviously you travel a little bit, and we don't want to go too deep into location or whatever. But have you thought about like meetups and stuff like that? Because I think that would be very powerful for you.
I have. My wife tells me all the time.
Yeah.
You need to get out of the house.
Yeah.
You need to meet up because I am a social person at heart. Yeah. That's who I am. I've always been that way. I like to be goofy and act stupid, but for the sake of the podcast,
do something.
I'm trying to be
professional.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah, I don't want your viewers to be like, who is this clown he has on this podcast? So, but I like people. I like to have fun and stuff like that. So I have thought of meetups. Yeah. There's a guy, I'm in some groups on Facebook, and they have meetups all the time in Orlando and things like that. But I haven't seen any meetups here in St. Petersburg. I'm sure there are.
There are plenty. It's like, but you kind of have to figure out who are like, and then you meet always the same people. Yeah. And like, I'm kind of in the freelance world, so if I meet more photographers, videographers, it's like not leading to more work, only to more competition. And then like the environment is also kind of weirdly toxic because everybody is like sizing each other up. Like, am I better? Do I make more money? It's like, oh, could I get that gig? And then like, it's a weird thing. So I think like for me, networking is better if I'm not being in my niche or talk to about random stuff.
I got you.
Which is weird.
No, it makes sense. I think that comes again from, I keep tying everything back to it, but it's your purpose. When you don't know what you're supposed to do, you view other people as competition.
Yeah.
I'll make another analogy. I'm not sure what kind of mic this is. Is this a condenser mic? Dynamic?
I think it's a dynamic, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, so this is more built for podcasting and things like this. So now there's another mic that could be like a shotgun mic. That's more going to be for if you're outdoors and rejecting sound. So if these mics were actual people and they could talk, they're both microphones. But they're not going to be jealous of each other because the shotgun has a specific purpose and this one has a specific purpose, but they both pick up sound and they change the sound into digital so that it can be captured. So again, that's an analogy of we as people, if we know what our purpose is, then we won't look at other people as competition. We'll look at them, hey, you're doing the same thing I am, but in a different way. What can I learn from you? And I think that is something that I've noticed in the community of videographers and photographers is that
there's a
competition.
There's a lot going on. Like, my gear is better. Why did I not get the gig?
Exactly. And what would you say? How would you? And I know this is your podcast.
No, feel free. It's like open.
How would you say What would you say is the key to finding people who are not competitive but are more like you, who just want to make connection with people?
Ooh, this is a tough one because like most people like in America is very classified. In Germany everybody's middle class. You work your 5 days and you get 2 days off, and you get paid vacation 30 days. Right. Free healthcare. And here's like everybody. So in general, it sounds like not everybody's like that, but there's a general like, oh, what does he work? How much does he make?
Right.
And then it's like a lot of like that type of stuff. There's a lot of class stuff going on, even though nobody really wants to talk about it. And I'm not coming from there, and I don't really care about money. So what's weird too, I should care about money. But
to a point,
but it's just like like most people, if they're in the same industry, it's like you gotta find like people that you really vibe with, and like you kind of figure that out in the DMs, I think.
Oh, okay. And what is something like in the DM? What is a defining thing that lets you know? Okay, this is the type person.
I don't know. Like there's like sometimes like there's people who are just like officially nice,
Okay. Yeah, I got you.
I hate that, and then behind the back they're like mean, and it's like
right,
because they're like, I should have got that gig, and I'm like, I'm like, stuff like that. So it happened like twice. I'm like, people are competing on stuff where I don't even want to compete, you know?
Right. Exactly.
Because I don't really care about that. I see, like, for example, I see YouTube and social media as like, you can do whatever you want to.
Exactly.
You just need to create a win-win condition, you know? Like, if I invite somebody to my podcast, everybody wins. Like, they get the footage, they can cut reels if they want to, or I cut reels if I really like a clip, you know?
Yeah, and you told me that.
And so I create a win-win, and it's not about like, oh, now I'm competing with a different podcast.
Exactly.
But some people, they are not on that level where they're like, oh no, it's me against you. And it's a weird scenario because that will not help you. You can do whatever you want. The main goal is to stay motivated and keep on pushing. That's how I see it. But it's like, I try to create that, and it's really tough sometimes when people are weird.
No, you're absolutely right. People are weird. I find that, you know, I don't know if it's because of how I grew up or whatever, but like you said, here in the States, you know, I grew up with friends, but as time went on, we kind of just disappeared and everybody went their own way. And I don't know if over in your country, if everybody, do you guys stick together more growing up, and then, you know, how does that work?
So in Germany, it's like kind of like that, like you said, like you stick together. And the best thing that happened to me is like figuring out my father's alive and he invited me over, blah, blah, blah. But basically, I'm just like, I always was like, I want to be in my small town because I love everything. You know, everybody has the same friends. You don't have to worry about career because whatever job you work, if it's at the gas station, you get paid vacation, 30 days, you know, like there's no hustle, there's no drive. And here's like the Wild West, do or die, you know? And obviously we have the same type of people who are like, I never want to leave. This is my town, you know? And that mindset needs to be broken because if you travel, your mind expands and you see the world in a different light and you're just like, whoa, I did not know this. And it's like people are different, you know? But you need to experience it to live it. Was really tough because obviously it costs money. And it's a really extremely poor, extremely rich situation in America.
I got you. It almost seems though, because I'm trying to weigh which one would be better. I know there's pros and cons to both.
Basically.
Yeah, but I almost want to say that yours would be better because
in the social and healthcare stuff.
Because that sort of thing is the life of everybody. You know, you can learn new things and you can experience new things, but without people, again, going back to the Will Smith movie, you know, without anybody, what does all this stuff matter?
True.
You know, it's nothing at all. So I kind of admire that about where you come from, and you know, you guys having that kind of family oriented vibe. You know, that's something that's lacking in today's culture here in the U.S.
Well, but U.S. culture is also kind of different because U.S. is like a mix. You know, everybody came from somewhere.
Melting pot.
And then now everybody's like there's certain populations where like, no, I'm a real American. You know, kind of like you got to be born and raised here. I'm like, You're not really born and raised here, just kinda, you know. So like you're technically from somewhere else, but now you're just like trying to have like your own class, you know.
Exactly.
And I feel like if you have nothing, you kind of like align with something and want to have pride in something. So it's like teams, for example. That's big too.
Exactly.
Like football, for example. It's like, oh yeah, hate the other team, F them, whatever. You know, it's like because some people have nothing besides the team.
That's right.
And then I'm like, I'm sad for those people, but I also understand it. So it's like, you know.
Definitely. Yeah, it has this weird thing.
There's no good or bad. It's like it's just a different beast.
It is different. Definitely. I agree with you.
I also didn't want to offend anybody on the podcast. I'm sorry.
So that's the thing. You have to be thinking about everybody listening. Do you edit these or do you just go straight through?
So usually, with this one, this is like live recorded. Like everything what we choose into is like recorded and backup recording over there on the PC. So we're using OBS for the listeners, and
OBS.
And then we kind of just edit the beginning and end and maybe cut out stuff if needed. So if it's not needed, don't do it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but I'm more raw and spontaneous because some things are better. I hate like the preparation, you know, and then, so you like this? I do like this too.
You know, because you said that to me. Actually, you said you didn't want to talk too much because that would go over, you know, run over what we could talk about here on the podcast. So. Because
like I'm like, the camera's kind of cool, you know, and like you got like kind of unique things and you talk about things, and now I'm just like, dang, he knew all about the audio. He knew there's a noise gate going on and all that stuff, and I'm like, we should dive into that. So
I love, like I said, I mean, I just like technology as a whole.
Yeah.
I've always been that way, even with cell phones and things like that. I have an iPhone now, which I want to say maybe 5 years ago, I hated iPhone. I was against it. I was like, there's no way I'll ever get an iPhone. iPhone's trash. It's locked in. You can't do anything. Yeah. But that was all I use.
Ooh. So you're fully Mac now and everything? Apple?
Well, I'm fully Mac except I have one laptop. It's a Dell, but the battery is dead in it. So I can still use it, but if I unplug it, the battery dies. So I'm like, maybe I should just get a MacBook.
MacBooks are nice, but they're also like, as a streamer, live streaming or whatever, and doing podcasts and shows, I sometimes plug so many things into that thing and then like randomly shuts off. And I'm like,
really?
So
too much power.
Yeah, so I'm just like, depending on what I plug in, and I'm like, now I cannot guarantee, like, if you do a live stream of a wedding, you know what I do. So I'm like, multi-camera, switching around, just need somebody in the background, like, switching angles.
Yeah.
Could happen. So that's why I like highly recommend Windows PCs.
One solution might be something called a CalDigit. I think it's a T4. It's CalDigit, CALDI.
What does it do?
So it is basically like a docking station. They call it a docking station, but it's if you look it up, it's a brick. It basically adds additional ports to your computer. So USB-C, USB 3.0.
Yeah.
I believe it has HDMI on there too, and you can use all of those at the same time.
Yeah.
But now the only thing is you have to have an external power source, so you have to plug it into something. But it takes the strain off of your laptop, so you don't have to. It's not pulling everything from that USB-C port.
Yeah, that's the weird part, like ranting a little bit about Apple. This one was like, I bought that, and this is my first one. And apparently this is like special because it emits like a radio field, whatever, because there's no grounding in it. And that's technically illegal, but they got away with it.
Through the FCC, seems like that.
Yeah, so there's like a bunch of stuff going on. So like there's like a YouTube video, a guy is like measuring it. So it's like not healthy. And I'm like, I bought my first MacBook and then I picked up the wrong one.
Oh, wow. Do you watch Louis Rossman?
Yeah,
I love Louis Rossman. He takes those things apart. Which one is this? Is this the touch bar one? I can't see.
No, this is the M1.
Okay.
Base, 8 gigs, everything.
Okay, it does have the touch bar. Right?
Yeah, but sorry, I forgot.
Oh no, it's all good.
But basically, like, I'm like, I bought with my first tried wrong thing. The iPhone was fine, but this is like kind of
So is it that one thing that you don't like about it, or is it
the shutting off? It's
shutting off.
Yeah, and I think it's from the grounding because it does not have grounding.
Oh, okay.
So if I unplug this, you can go over it and you feel the electricity when you go with your finger over it. And apparently that's with that thing. So I had to buy an extra power adapter and everything. And I'm like, I don't know if that's the cause of the shutting down sometimes, and it only happens if I put a bunch of adapters in.
Yeah.
So it's weird.
It sounds like it's just drawing too much power from there and it shuts it down to keep it.
Yeah. That's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. But yeah, I used to be a diehard Android guy. I got into rooting phones and all of that.
Me too.
Yeah, I had a Samsung, what was it? Samsung?
Galaxy?
I had the Galaxy, but it was the Evo. Evo. You remember that one? It had the kickstand on it.
A kickstand?
Yeah.
Was it one of those gaming ones?
No, this was a regular phone. It was, I think it was I want to say Evo 8. I don't know why, but it was the Samsung Evo.
Yeah.
I think it was Samsung. No, it was HTC. That's what it was. HTC Evo.
Yeah.
And it had a flip out kickstand.
Oh, I remember that one. That was one of the first Androids, and was like Apple versus HTC, and then the Galaxy came kind of out, and those were the big three.
Yeah. And that changed the game, but you could get the different ROMs and the different skins that look like Apple.
Oh, yeah.
So you could mimic it. But I was heavy into that stuff, and I used to just talk about Apple bad, but now I love Apple.
So what do you like the most about Apple?
For me, it's just the ecosystem.
Yeah.
So right now, let's say I'm going to create a thumbnail. I take my ZB-E10.
Yeah.
And I shoot a photo, and I send it over. I could just send it over. I forgot the name of the app right now.
Did it create or whatever?
Yeah, it comes from the app to my phone.
Yeah.
And then I can just send that directly to my Mac.
Yeah.
Just over AirDrop. And it goes right into Photoshop. I edit it, do what I need to do. And then same with a video. If I want to do a short, I can just do a short, edit it on my computer.
Yeah.
And then just AirDrop it right to my phone. Upload it, boom. So that right there just makes things easy. Then, like if I'm doing notes, let's say I'm gonna create a video, I typically would type out all my notes. I can type them out. Let's say I'm somewhere else.
The Notes app is so good.
Yeah,
I like it.
I could type in the Notes app, put my phone down, open notes, just keep going, boom.
Yeah.
Or a lot of times what will happen, let's say I'm watching a podcast or something on my Mac and I want to see it on my phone and I'm about to leave. I can just send it to my phone.
They got us.
Yeah.
They got us.
I'm in there.
Damn. Yeah. Oh, what else?
I'm taking you way off track. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Like, what else are your guilty pleasures of? Like, your game or anything?
No, I used to. The last gaming system I had was an Xbox 360. So that tells you anything.
Yeah, that's a couple of years.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. And I did the Xbox Live thing. I had, I can't remember the name of the game, but it was a first-person shooter game. Yeah. I can't remember the name of it. So now I'm not really big into game. My brother is, but I'm not.
Yeah, now it's like all the grind. It's not an easy finding time for all the fun things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's where I'm sacrificing everything for YouTube, grinding, doing like, doing the client work and just like being busy and just like trying to keep everything on track and finding time.
What are your hobbies?
Kind of like just YouTube and videography. Like I'm just like all in a way.
I saw you doing the electric bikes and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I do that too.
You do that too?
Yeah, I have a couple of e-bikes. Like I have like 2 electrics and an EB5. Then I have like that weird street strider. So I picked a new niche that I did not like. Now I'm like I'm kind of trying to get out of it and go into the camera niche because it would work better with my product that I'm selling.
Oh, okay. Yeah, can I pick this up?
Yeah, feel free. Yeah,
I saw you 3D printed these.
Yeah, so I also have like molds, and this is like the idea.
Okay.
So it's like not perfect yet, but basically like does a little, like if you have the lenses on the shelf.
Just a nice little decorative thing.
Yeah, so
you could even add LEDs in here, maybe.
I already built on that.
Oh, you're stepping. Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah, I got a lot of stuff going on where I'm just like developing in the background, and I had like a deal going on with a big creator who wanted to buy the thing, But then the accident of my wife happened, and my life got crazy, and now I'm like, I could do it alone. Now I don't find the time to do it alone. It's like so much going on.
No, I got you. Yeah, these are nice though.
Yeah, so it's like. They are not perfect, but I'm trying to get a manufacturer and then make them perfect. Yeah,
well, it starts with the idea.
Yeah, and I'm the only one who has it. So right now I have like a monopoly. Nobody knows about it, so I'm like kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, but I think we should cut the podcast because I need to go on the toilet.
Okay, let's cut it.
Yeah, just give me a quick moment. Like, oh, wait a minute. Where can people find you? Let's go right into that first.
People can find me on YouTube, Purpose Lens Photo and Media. That's my name everywhere. So you can find me on all platforms. So
yeah,
thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. It was a good talk.
Absolutely no problem. Thanks for watching the Create Before Consume podcast from creators for creators. Keep creating and see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.